Good Wednesday and welcome to another Queen Silvy Show. This is Smooth Tim and Queen Silvy.
That's right. Welcome to a wonderful Wednesday and the Queen Silvy Show, giving you a special edition for a special guest that we want to showcase today on this wonderful day. Smooth, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Queen, and how are you?
As always, I am supercalifragilistic. That's
Expialidocious,
right.
I suppose.
Absolutely.
You're simply
I know, right?
amazing. Yes, you
I am amazing, but what also is amazing, Smooth, is the amazing guest and announcements for today.
are. On today's show, Queen, we have with us a Grammy-winning gospel R&B spectacular artist, Mr. Arthur Roland.
All right. Yes.
Some quick announcements before we have Arthur come on the show and entertain everybody.
Okay.
You know, everybody can use a friend, Queen, so sign up today for the Queen Silvy's Friends Club, where you can stay informed, you can get connected, and we also give away free gifts on a monthly basis. So sign up at thequeensylvyshow.com, www.thequeensylvyshow.com, or drop us an email at queensylvy@comic.com.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this is a season for the reason for fashion. So if you want the best in fashion accessories, go to Aura's Fashion Boutique, 3100 West Arkansas Lane, right in Pantego, Arlington, Texas.
Yes.
That's right. Aura Smith, give her a call, 817-680-8397 to either stop by or for a private shopping session. Also, don't forget to, for a little inspiration, and everybody could use some of that, tune into Sabrina Williams' show, her podcast, www.rollingwiththechaplain.com. Get information on that. And check out her on her webpage, Facebook, and Instagram, and Twitter pages.
Mm-hmm.
And anyhow, Queen, those are the quick announcements. I'm getting excited to talk to Arthur.
I am excited to talk to Arthur, but before I get into my conversation with Mr. Arthur Roland, I want you to know that you're more than welcome to send in any of your comments, suggestions, or questions for our guests, Smooth or myself. Smooth will get those questions to you. We are currently live on all of your social media platforms, so do spread the word on this wonderful Wednesday. But before I get into my conversation, what I'd like to do at this moment is I'd like to share some motivational words from the Queen Silvy Show to you. If you want to achieve greatness, stop asking for permission and do what you can with what you have where you are. Create your own visual style and let it be unique for yourself and identifiable for others. Because, see, you can't use up creativity. I mean, the more you use, the more you have. And trust me, it is never too late to be what you might have been. That's right. Hey, those are some motivational words from the Queen Silvy Show to you. Yes, absolutely. I am having a great day. I always have a great day.
Yes, you do.
I mean, I'm always supercalifragilistic. And my first guest is, I want to say he's always talented. I think he was born in talent, born with a gift, and you're going to find out how his journey was to now what he's doing currently, sharing his magnificent blessings and giving you some Southern gospel and R&B from the one and only Grammy award-winning singer, songwriter, musician, producer, human justice humanitarian from Atlanta, Georgia. I introduce to you Arthur Roland. Hey, Arthur.
Well, good afternoon.
How are you? How are you today?
I'm blessed. And just, as my grandparents used to say, every day above ground is a good day.
That's right. If I woke up today, it's my birthday.
That's right.
Every day is my birthday. So send your gifts to. No, I'm just kidding.
I know that's right.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. But you, Arthur, have been singing You've been playing music, creating music, as well as touring all over the world for over 35 years with your young self.
A long time.
You just a baby and you are not done yet
I
doing
know,
so
right?
much.
Isn't it incredible what Botox and plastic surgery can do for you?
And here I thought it was greens and chicken, all that good food.
Yeah,
That can
that
do
too.
it.
All of that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to say that you are born into music, being that you and your sisters were performing young. You were working a job at 6 years old with
Yeah.
responsibilities.
6 years old, that was a huge responsibility to be touring around the country and performing and, having people pay admission to come and see you do what you do.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
I know that you said before, because I'm not sure if anyone caught any of that where you were previously on, but you said your dad was like Joe Jackson.
My dad was the original Joe Jackson, I think. Around the same time as Joe Jackson, I think he really patterned himself after Joe. My dad was a hardworking man, though. He said that, when we told him what our dreams were and what we want to do, he realized, the meager means that he had. And he said, well, if I'm going to allocate my money to this for you guys, I'm going to buy the way in, but I need for you guys also to buy in because I'm sacrificing a lot for you guys.
That's all right. And you don't have like 6 or 8 siblings. Is it
I've got actually 5 sisters.
Oh, are you the only boy?
The only one.
Or you always the spoiled one?
Well, that's what people would say, but you have to understand that when you have 5 girls, you take care of the girls, and then you get that last one. He's the least of all. So it's not about being spoiled; it's about when they get to you.
Are you the baby?
No, I'm actually next to the oldest. I have one sister that's older than me.
That's all right. Well, there's 8 in my family. There would have been 10, so I know what it's like. They all ventured into their own things. I wish we would have been a singing or a dancing group.
But
I would have
definitely made life interesting.
Oh yeah, a lot fun actually. But now you play the guitar. Is that from playing in church with your dad? How did you learn the guitar?
The way I started playing guitar was when we were touring. We had a hard time finding musicians and dedicated musicians. And my dad had bought all of us instruments and he wanted us to learn how to play. Now, I had a guitar, keep in mind at the time that my dad had bought me. He had went to this place called Sears and Robots at the time and bought me a guitar.
I know them.
And I had a dream. You know how you dream that you're doing things, because I'm always dreaming performances and things. I would always dream music and performing somewhere. I had a dream one night that I was playing guitar. And the funny thing is that I woke up and I remembered everything I was doing in the dream.
See, you're very special. You can dream and make that dream. If you ever dream of a 3-digit or a 4-digit number,
If you get that lottery
I've been waiting
number,
on that one.
Arthur,
I'll split it.
text us.
We could do that. But is there other instruments that you enjoy playing?
Well, since then, of course, as a producer and in this digital world where everything is pretty much keyboard oriented, where if you want horns, you pull it up. If everything is operated from the keyboard. I have to teach myself to play everything from drums to horns to, you name it, violin to, all of the above. I had to teach myself to play. I even taught myself to play a little banjo.
All right. You can be the whole band.
And that's exactly pretty much what I do most of the time in the studio. I just lay down all the instruments and the tracks for recordings and stuff. And then, we move from there, even the background parts.
Yeah.
That's a nice economical way to handle things.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it makes it, when you have a vision of how you want things to sound, and it's a good way to share with others what you hear in your vision. So when you do bring the musicians in, and I bring my guys in a lot of times, and I say, okay, this is what I heard, and then I'll let them, of course, replay those things because they're experts at their.
Now, are you also a percussionist?
I am, yeah.
Wow, Mr.
I actually started playing drums before I even dreamed of playing guitar.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to play drums. I love drums, by the way, but the kind that I used to play was You know, you can only do so much with the Quaker boxes and the cane chip cans. You know, that's what we
Yeah.
did. You know, when Mama said go outside and play, we had to make use with things, which is why I'm proud to say that I play the spoons. Do you play the spoons?
Been there, done that. You're absolutely right. Before we
Hey,
could afford instruments, we made our own.
that's
Absolutely.
right.
Buckets, pans, spoons, we made it. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
cans,
Yeah.
sticks. You ever chewed them sticks before?
I like to say I was the best can player in the world.
That's funny.
Hey, we got a question for you too,
Oh, okay.
from one of the viewers. Do you do vocal exercises? If so, what are they?
Hmm.
Well, you know, I come from old school. We jump right out of bed and go to the stage a lot of times. And it's funny because a lot of times I would jump right up to tour bus out of my pajamas 5 minutes before it's time to go to the stage and go to the stage.
Mm.
But not so much vocal exercises. Um, what I normally do is I try to, I have a regimen of certain things that I would eat. I think probably one of the best things that you can do before going to the stage is have a nice, crisp, green apple.
Mm.
It's something about the citrus in the apple that whatever is coating your vocal cords or your throat, it seems to actually get all of that off of it.
Has to be a green apple.
I think so, as long as it's tart and it has that citrus tartness to it.
Could be the citrus acid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great. Yep, you could
exactly.
have a point.
Well, Hannah Kirby off of show was she on? The
Oh, The
Voice.
Voice.
She likes lemon water.
Yeah, you're
Hmm.
right.
And
Yeah,
Citric
very
acid.
good. Another good
Interesting.
thing.
yeah.
Anything that you're gonna drink though, I would pretty much advise everyone to drink hot or warm liquids, never anything cold.
Mm.
That makes
They
sense
have a
also
tendency
because that would
to
stress
to
your vocal cords.
contract your muscles and your vocal cord and your vocal cord. So you don't want anything to, restrict or contract them. You want them to be open and loose.
Oh, that's interesting.
We got another question popped in, Arthur. You
Keep
got
it
time?
Mhm.
coming. Yeah.
Are you performing any gigs right now? If so,
Well,
where?
unfortunately, I would be working about 300 days a year. But as of March, with the whole COVID and situation, everything is pretty much on still. I'm doing a lot of virtual stuff, but I haven't really done a lot of concerts, and it's been unreal and a little unnerving to just be at home every day with nothing to do. I think I'm having a studio because had I not had a studio, I would be stir crazy right by this time.
yeah. Well, I don't believe that actually, Arthur. You're so multi-talented and creative that you I believe would either write someone a hit song or one for yourself. Are you writing, by the way, for other people?
Always. And it's funny because I talked to a lot of other writers and producers, and during this pandemic time, most people have finished whole albums.
Hmm.
Um, what I tried to do is I thought about periods in life, whether it was Marvin Gaye with What's Going On, or Donny Hathaway, or the artists that painted pictures of what was going on during a period in the life. And those things are still chronicled and relative today. And so I was just sitting thinking, I wanted to compile my thoughts and my ideas of what I'm dealing with and what I see going on in the world and in the news during this unprecedented time, which is COVID. We've never seen anything like it
Oh
in our
no.
life. So I wanted to kind of compile those things and put it into word form and then into music to kind of chronicle this period. So, 30 years from now, when our great grandkids and our kids are listening to it, they'll have a vivid picture through music, hopefully, of what we were dealing with during this time.
Leaving that legacy.
I love that thought. If you think about how they captured the spirit of what was going on in the song, what's going on, and how relevant
Yeah,
it still is today.
yeah,
And
one of my favorite songs, and I think that in my short time of living in life, I've kind of noticed a pattern of every 20 years. There seems to be a reoccurrence
yeah,
of things, and
It's in the Bible.
mm,
I agree.
Yeah.
You're 100.
Yeah, I think that, some famous person once said that if you don't learn your history, you're bound to repeat it. I think that if we learn history, it's kind of a cliff note on things that mistakes that we might make going forward that won't repeat again.
You
And
know what?
a lot of us know our history.
I listen to what's going on today, and I always think to myself, why do you want to repeat or live a history when you can make history?
Well said.
That is very true.
Well said, indeed. Well, for you, Arthur, you've been blessed to not just be around, but share the stage and collaborate with Gorbs of artists, little known and very well known. You've had put a touch in the industry, and that which has led to your own accomplishments from the Grammy, the Stellar, the induction into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. But out of all of that, from all these years, if you were sitting down with a young man who is about to get into the music industry, what stands out with you? Either a particular person or a particular lesson that you've learned along the way that might help this young man or girl?
Well, first of all, it would be reassurance because this is a business that has so many ups and downs. A lot of times we tend to question whether it's for us or not. And when we run into those walls that seem immovable, sometimes we go like, yeah, this is probably not for us. We should give up and do other things because it's much easier. This is a hard business. And I tell people all the time, if you get in there for fame, you're in the wrong business because fame is fleeting. You have it 1 minute and it's gone the next minute. But I think probably the most powerful thing, and I say it all the time to artists, whether it's in seminars or whatever, and that is that God didn't call everybody to do what we do.
That's right.
So the few of us that he called to do what we do in music are the very elect of the people he chose. So if he calls us to do it, he equips us to do it. And our lives and our journey is not going to be like anyone else's, but we have to stay the course through everything because a lot of times when we look, it's not going to look like it's going to go anywhere. But those that actually stick and stay on the course are the ones that usually are very successful.
But now, see, you've been in the music. You do R&B, jazz, gospel. Now, I don't know how different that is, behind the scenes, but just what you said about following your path with the music, sometimes you can get strayed away. Old Satan can come in and pull you right off from your whole focus and your purpose. So seriously, you know this, right?
Sure.
So for these young kids these days, they think they know everything. They're going into this.
Everybody's trying to get paid. Everybody's trying to be the next YouTube sensation or the next pop-up star. And a lot of times they don't understand that the people that they see for the first time, whether it's on a major stage like the Grammys or TV or whatever, it may just be a Coca-Cola commercial. They don't understand that these people have been grinding and working and doing their due diligence for a long time for just that one break. It's kind of like for me, a lot of times people see you on stage performing, and literally when they see you, they want that life. They think that that's the greatest life in the world. They don't understand that what they saw for that 30 minutes to an hour on stage started yesterday, preparation for. And it's not just something that I pop on stage and do. It's something that I prepare for weeks sometimes just to be able to do. So it's a lot of work.
Okay, so you know what I'm seeing now is, of course, there's a change in the world. The thing used to be getting signed to a label. Now it's independent, all this independent artists. Do you ever feel that challenge from these wannabes, from these determined artists, and from those that really have a chance? How are we going to get into the music industry now with everything this way?
Well, I've been on both sides of that. And of course, that's a big part of my story. Being signed to major record labels like, Atlantic and Capitol. And the funny thing about record companies, everybody is so excited about being signed to a record label. And I say this all the time, and that is that a record company, all it is a bank. If you got your own money, you're your own record company.
Right.
And in this day of internet and, you know, situations like this and home studios, we don't need record companies anymore.
Right.
Record companies had one thing that we needed for a long time, and that was distribution. But like I said, in the day of internet, where there's so many sites out there that will distribute your music to all the major platforms, you don't even need that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So many artists have gone from producing full projects and going to record companies and signing deals, distribution deals. And right offhand, one of them to me was Boyz II Men. They recorded a song called "End of the Road," the album.
Mm-hmm.
They had finished all of that and went to Motown and just asked for a distribution deal. Motown had no idea that was going to become one of the biggest songs of all time. But all of the revenue and all of the money from that went to Boyz II Men. Had the record company had them signed, had the record company had anything to do with that, you know, they wouldn't have received that kind of wealth from that song. So they were independent. So there are a lot of independent, even my friend Chance the Rapper, a lot of the artists that you saw winning Grammys year or 2 years ago were independent artists. And independent simply means that they're in control of their own. They're not relying on record companies. They do everything themselves.
They grind on their own, do that grind.
Yeah. And
cut that middle person out.
It's harder, but the end result and the revenue that comes to you, let's say $15 out of every CD comes to you. It's not broken down, you know? And so that's the beautiful thing about it. Another gentleman that comes to my mind is Prince. And that's kind of where the light kind of went off in my head. Prince was going through with Sony Music. And then they said that, well, you know, we own the rights to the name Prince. Anything that you do, we have to say so over it. We're going to get 60% of that. Mm. And he said, from this day forward, I'm no longer Prince. I'm the artist formerly known as Prince. I'm the symbol. So I'm going to sell it on the internet. I'm going to produce it in Paisley Park Studios, and you guys will not get a dime from it. Wow. And so they said to themselves, they said, well, do we fight over 0% of everything, or do we settle for 20% of what he's doing? And finally, they caved in and gave him the rights to his name back and made a deal with him. I think Prince said that it was $100 million for 6 projects. Wow! And of course, he went into his archives, and they said it had to be good projects. He went into his archives and gave six albums worth of music, and got the name back to the rights back to his name and $100 million, and he was no longer a slave to the system. So that's a lot for artists to understand.
Yeah, he made it through. Some don't, you know, but he made it through and set an example of just how, you can do it. You know.
So if you're not as popular and one name is a Prince or a Taylor or a Beyonce, make the decision not to get yourself entangled into that kind of plantation early. Right. Because you may not ever reach the heights of those people that have that kind of pull and influence in the music. So start off right.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell artists, you know, a music company is a bank. And if you got your own money, you're your own record company. But most importantly, what I did was make the mistake of trusting the record company to produce my music. They brought in producers that I'd read and heard about. You know, they were well-renowned people that had all kinds of accolades behind their names. So you figure as an artist, if these people are producing music for you, that, you know, guaranteed hit. Mm. And then when you hear your music back and it sounds nothing like your vision or what you write, you still trust them because you figure they know what they're doing. Wow. And then 2 years later, when nothing happens with your music, you know, then they start to doubt you, and then they say, well, we're going to do something else. And then 4 years have passed, and you put on the shelf. But you know all along that it wasn't you, and wasn't your ministry and your vision for your music. Mm-hmm. So I would tell them that, you know, don't be so happy to sign the record labels, because if a record company doesn't see your vision or your ministry for your music or your direction for your music, then they don't do you any good.
Right. You know, you can get your own support system, you know, somewhere else, and it starts with yourself. Yeah. So, You know, right now it's what's that word I learned from the younger folks? Grind. You know, we got to put
Grind.
that
Yeah,
grind in there.
you got to get your grind, and on top of that, you got to believe your own swag.
That's
If
right.
you see it and you know that it's you and it's genuine, what you got to do is take that sauce from your swag, and you got to make other people buy into it.
That's
And
right.
that was one of the things that I used to do in high school. I never followed trends. I never followed styles. I made my own styles, and I made it popular, made other people follow me.
That's how I am too. You know, you have to be your own self, your own authentic self, and people have to accept you for how you are. And you know, you've done a lot. I'm glad we're not even done with your story because you know you went through even a Tyler Perry type of situation.
For real, yeah, I
Right.
did.
But before
Yeah.
we do that, let's get into one of your songs here. Oh, what a change! I'm gonna play. Oh, what a change! Anything you want to say about that?
Uh, it's one of those songs that I had written with someone else in mind. That was a gentleman from a group that I work with, the Williams brothers. His name was Melvin Williams. And I had wrote the song for Melvin, and I tried to pitch it to his company. It was something that, they didn't really see the vision in, so I decided to put it out myself.
Don't you get tired of these people not seeing somebody's vision? I'm like, you know, they see the vision as maybe intimidation and a lot of other things
I
too.
thank God for it because it was actually one of the first songs from my self-entitled project, Stepping Out of Myself, that really kind of took roots and made some ground for me.
Well, you
So it
know
was just
what?
God's plan.
Well, it's a good tune. I'm glad you made this tune. I'm going to share it to the world, and we're going to tell you how you can go and get yourself a copy as well. Oh, What a Change by Mr. Arthur Roland, right here on The Queen Silvy Show.
What is this? I just can't hide. Got me feeling so good inside. Got me riding a natural high. So good, I can't describe. It's a love, true, true love. God shining down from up above. It's a true love. True love, true, true love. He changed my way of walking.
Yes, he did.
He changed my way of talking.
Yes, he did.
Changed my way of thinking. Gave me a new mind, a real new mind. Oh, what a change since I gave my life to Jesus. Yeah. Oh, what a change since I gave my life to Him. Oh, what a change
Since I gave my life
since I gave my life to Jesus. I've really been changed.
what a change.
Oh, yeah. Play it for me. Just play it for me. Play the guitar for me. Make it sound sweet. Play the guitar for me. Make it sound real good. While I tell people, I can't explain the joy. I feel like a little child with a brand new toy. It's amazing love and joy down in my heart, down in my heart, yeah.
Oh, what a change since I gave my life to Jesus. Oh, what a change since I gave my life
True
to Him.
love, true, true love.
Oh, what a change since I gave my life to Jesus.
He changed my way walking.
same for you. I'm never turning back. This God has been too good, and now my life has changed, like He said it would. Oh,
Oh, what a change.
since I gave my life
Since I
to
gave my life to
Jesus.
Jesus, I've really been changed.
Oh, what a change. Since I gave my life to Him. Oh,
I fell in love with
since I
you,
gave my life to
Jesus.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Since I gave my life to Him.
Tell 'em about the love of
Talking
God.
brand new. I'm talking brand new.
This love is amazing love, yeah.
The same for you.
I really been changed.
Yeah. Woohoo! Let me tell you, that's a good song. And have you anybody ever said some of the artists that your voice is similar to?
Yeah, I hear a lot of things. I hear the Al Greens. I hear a
I
whole
heard
lot.
Al Green.
Yeah.
Well, I hear the
so,
Al Greens. I think it was one of the spinners in there. I mean, and it was all good
Felipe
art.
Wynn.
Yeah.
Felipe Wynn. Yeah. So I mean, those are amazing artists for real.
Yeah, but they
People that I listen to. So I'm guessing because I did grow up listening to the Felipe Wins and Sadie's and
mm-hmm.
Al Greens that stay together and all. I guess you can't help but have that kind of influence on you.
Well, that's all right. They are doing their thing, but they're not the real Arthur Roland.
Arthur Roland. That's correct.
Throw that in there. So tell me, what change do you want to see in the world? Since we just said, "Oh, what a change!" Tell me what
No,
change.
we're in an unprecedented time, as I said. It's kind of a trifold of things that are going on. We're dealing with a pandemic. We're dealing with really, really hard time economically. And the other big thing that's kind of passionate to me is the whole movement on equality. The whole Black Lives Movement, that whole thing right there, that's something that I've kind of gravitated to because even though we're in the supposed greatest country in the world, and I still think we are, because until people visit other countries like Africa and some of the less fortunate countries, they don't realize how well they do have it in this country.
Mm-hmm.
But yet still in the middle of this country with all the prosperity and all the blessings that we have, there's still a big divide between races of people. And I don't know whether it's, and well, I do know, it's a lot of it's out of fear, a lot of it's out of ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a stronghold that's been on us for the last 400 years or so, as far as, everyone trying to establish themselves as a superior race of people. And that's really causing us to lose everything that we've gained.
You are very true on that. Politics is everywhere. Can't get out of that
Racism
politics.
is so multifaceted. It's amazing.
It is.
Depending upon your ethnicity, your sex, your color. It's ridiculous.
And it used to be so overt and out openly, and we were able to see it. So we could make the decision whether we were going in that direction or not. But now it's so covert and under the covers until we find ourselves in the middle of stuff a lot of times before we even realize it.
Absolutely.
And it affects everything about us, from employment to to our social economics, to our status, everything. It affects everything about us.
What I see, Arthur, the people need to understand is that the social media is now the leaflet propaganda that used to be.
So it's bringing people really right into your life, into your experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the missing link, because this has been going on for so long, but people weren't able to visually see it until the age of cell phones and personal body cam, things like that. We actually really get an insight and look into what has really been going on. Well, we always knew it, but now the rest of the world gets to see it.
Yeah.
It's very overt.
Yeah, very much so. Well, I want to say hats off to you, Arthur, for the difference and the dedication and your support of social injustice and political wrongdoings worldwide as a humanitarian. But what inspired you? What inspired you to actually get into it because you're in the forefront where a lot of people are following and getting inspired from what you do and what you say.
I think probably the biggest thing is understanding how universal music is. There are countries that I visit and performed that don't even speak my language, but they understand the words and they will sing along the songs. And then if you try to have a conversation with them after the concert or stuff, they couldn't even understand anything you were saying. And that has always been so incredible to me that people can learn verbatim your song that can't even speak your language. And I think that music is universal. It speaks to all people, whether they understand what you're saying or not, they still feel it. There's a spirituality about music. And that is the thing that I think that I have that connects the world together. The
Absolutely.
biggest thing, the biggest thing for me was I listened to a lot of my white artist friends. I call them clear Christians. uh, and that was the market that we always wanted to be a part of. But again, that ugly thing called racism raised its head. So for me to go and work with people like a Bill Gaither or Sandy Patty or Amy Grant, artists like that, it was not well received in the beginning.
Wow.
So that was those were walls that had to be broken down. And
Wow.
again, it comes back to the whole racism thing. Even in country music, when I work with a lot of country artists, like the Lady Antebellums or the Rascal Flatts and artists like that, it's still that stigma there.
Wow.
It's very
That's true.
unfortunate. But
That's true, but that's
to
sad
to
though,
another
you
to
know.
another point, even within the music industry where you are in the country, there's a prejudice against you.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah. That
ridiculous.
there are all kinds of prejudice, said and unsaid, seen and unseen. I think that a lot of people kind of want to put you in a box as a Christian artist and say that you're not, if you do anything else, they have judgment towards you. If you do any other kind of music, music is music for me in its purest form. It's a message.
Mm-hmm.
It's melodic, and it speaks to all kinds of people, whether it's Christian, R&B, or country, or bluegrass.
That's what's
And
important.
That's right.
people look,
That's right.
yeah, people look at it, and there's a certain type of prejudice that's formed by that. The funny part about it for me, and this is me being transparent on your show, uh, a lot of times the people that I perform to or sing to, they look at my life and what I'm doing and my message, and they think that I got all the answers.
Hmm.
And I really don't. But we're finding them together. I may speak into some things that they're dealing with, but it doesn't mean that I don't have struggles.
Right.
I've got the same struggles that they got, but because they think that your life is so well together and you got all the answers and you're so perfect, that if you slip and make even the slightest mistake, they're ready to pounce on you. I think that is because people are looking for a blemish in you to make them feel bad about their blemish.
That's terrible, but that is so very true. And speaking of struggles, you yourself went through a little trial and tribulation and you came out. And I want you to share about that at time. Was that before you went on your own as an independent artist, or did that come after you
It
decided
came,
to go?
it came after. It came after, and I know if you're speaking up because after being working and touring around the world and learning from groups like the Blind Boys of Alabama, who went on to be 5 and 6 time Grammy winners and Lifetime Hall of Fame Achievement Award winners. Uh, they are one of the most iconic groups in the world. They tour with everybody from the Rolling
Yes.
Stones to Tom Petty and Heartbreakers. But to be a part of so many artists and their success, whether it was writing or playing as a musician, God just said, you've been watching everybody else do your music and you've been making everybody else rich and famous.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really been satisfied with the way they reproduce your music or the way they uh, interpret your music. So do it yourself. And I said to myself, uh, that's not what I do. I'm behind the scenes guy, I play guitar. And he said, no, I've been equipping you and making you ready for this time all along. You've been
Mm-hmm.
watching some of the greatest people do it that you've learned from. So just do what I say, and I'll show you the rest will come together. But in the midst of that, having traveled all over the world and sung for kings and queens and presidents, and walking away from all of that and the major record companies, it's overwhelming because I became pretty much lost everything. I went from, the 12-bedroom house to and cars and to being homeless and living in my car. And I slept at QT parking lots and La Quinta Inn, anywhere where it was lighted. And the funny part was about it was I played for a church on a Sunday. I made $250. I'll never forget that. But that $250 bought gas for my little car and bought me food to eat. And that was the greatest year of my life, that year that I spent homeless living in my car, because I had nowhere to be. I had no responsibilities. It was just peace. And God was just speaking to me all the time. He was just pouring new music in me, and he was allowing me to just observe the world and see everything going on around me. But it was crazy. He said to me, he said, you have forgotten the source from where you started, where everything came from in the beginning. And it was me. He said, you were so busy chasing the next award, the next accolade, until you forgot how to live just as a good person and in its purest form. And he said, I need to get your attention because you were getting so far away trying to chase the next thing that you forgot where those things came from in the beginning. And he promised me, he said, 1 year from today, I'm going to raise you back up, and I'm going to give you everything I allowed the devil to take from you times 10, and you'll never have to work again to keep it. And almost 30 days to that year, he did exactly what he said he was going to do.
All right. That's all right. Now, next you're going to tell me there's a documentary and a book in the making. Cause
when I tell the story, that's always the very first reply. The story is it's a lot more, and you guys don't have time on the show to tell you, but for me to tell you everything, but the story is so phenomenal that I think that if it were a movie, people would probably think that it was something that was made up. But yeah, I went on to as far as it was really weird. Out of all the cars I've had, the Bentleys and the Mercedes and all the other cars, I kept one of my very first cars, which was before I had any kind of, it was a 99 Honda Accord. And I always wondered why I kept that car. It was always in my driveway covered, and I had a 4-car garage, but it was always in my driveway covered. And that was the very thing that I ended up living and moving around in. And so God was saving me for such a time as that. And so it was really surreal. Everything I owned was in that car. My suits hang up in a rack on the back of the car. And most people that saw me, they didn't know anything about me being homeless or anything. But I got a call from a friend. I'm going to rush the story. I got a call from a friend that said, I told someone about you in St. Louis, Missouri. And he said he wants to meet you. He might have a job for you. And I was like, a job? Yeah, that's what I need, I filled that car up and didn't know if I would make it. Drove all the way to St. Louis, which is about 8 hours. I went to a place called Paul Symphony Hall. I went into park my car in the back alley because I didn't, I was really kind of ashamed to let people know that everything I owned was in my car. Went to this theater. There was a gentleman sitting down in the dark, and there was some guys on the stage doing this play. And he said, "So you're the infamous Arthur Roland. I've heard a lot about you." And a lot of times things seem surreal. You seem like somebody's talking. You look around for the cameras, and and I went down and talked to the guy, and he was, he was a little feminine, and I was like, okay, what's really going on here? and so he said to me, he said, just sit here with me and listen to these guys. And it was 5 guys on the stage, and they were doing a reenactment of the Temptation story. And one guy was playing David Ruffin, and they would do one of the songs the Temptations did. I think it was My Girl or something like that. And the guy would pop up from the rest of the group and do the microphone thing. And then, I said, "Oh, they're really good." He said, "Well, what do you think?" He said, "What would you change?" And I was just, thinking in my head. I said, "Well, David Ruffin didn't do the microphone like this. He did it like this, and he stepped out like this. He moved to this way, he moved to that way." And he said, "Go and show me." And I was like, okay, now this is really getting weird. What's going on? These guys are actors. And so I went to the stage and I did the David thing, took the microphone behind my back. David would do these things, and then the guys would just break out in applause. And he said, guys, what do you think about Mr. Roland, he's phenomenal, isn't he? He said, good, because he's going to be with us for the next 2 years,
All
working with you
right.
guys on the play. Yeah,
Wow. You passed that there. You
Test.
yeah.
yeah. Even with the nerves of wondering, well, hey, what's going
I mean, because it's a natural thing, and and they gave me this incredible contract. You know, they paid me ridiculous money for 2 years. I didn't spend any of my money because everywhere I went, I had a driver to take me. I lived in a hotel. It was a Hollywood casino.
The
I
door's
did two
open.
shows. I did 2 shows a day. I mean, it was crazy. And then God said, "You back."
Hey, wasn't that nice?
Cool.
And that 2 years turned into 4 years and twice the money. And at
Mm,
the end of the 4 years, they were moving to Las Vegas to take the show there. And they were going to offer me ridiculous money and stock of the show. And I was saying, God was saying, no, it's time for you to go back to Atlanta.
Mm.
that's right.
And and in the dream, he had showed me the house I was going to be living in and everything, you know. And it was surreal to one day wake up and you know how sometimes you have that deja vu, like I've seen this before. And that was my affirmation that I was where God had for me to be, because I really found myself standing in the studio in my house, looking down the street out of the window and seeing these huge houses. And I didn't understand it at the time, but I was there.
That's what's up. That is a great story. I'm telling you, I will buy the movie to watch the movie. I will buy the book to see, to hear, and read about all this because truly, it's a testimony.
Yeah, it is.
You
It
know,
is. You know,
all of
there's so many other things because you know, I tell people all the time that they see what you do and everybody wants to be you, but they don't know the sacrifices that come with you, with being who you are, whether it's emotional and sometimes it's in relationships as well. Um, the love for this music and the sake for my calling has really had an effect on me personally in my personal life. And you know, and that's a story in itself. Uh, but I think when I tell the story about how I learned to play guitar, uh, in the beginning it was just a story for me. But before I got the wisdom and understanding of the meaning behind the story, um, it started to take on a new meaning for me because I realized that when I decided to give up, and I really decided to give up playing guitar and being a musician for the sake of trying to keep a marriage together. And I literally went home from the road and I got into bed and I almost died. I never recovered. I couldn't even get the covers off me. I just simply stayed there and died. I was dying. I was becoming weaker every day. I couldn't even get out of bed. And until I pushed myself out of the bed and I had a guitar on a stand right beside my bed. And I was trying to prop myself up on the guitar. And when I grabbed the guitar, all my life came back into me.
well, you're a strong person. You followed your purpose. You may have thought you fell off, but no,
Yeah.
he had you in the palm of his hands and opened that doors and those paths for you. And you know, seriously, I'll film the documentary if you ever decide that you want to get
Well,
into it. How many songs
absolutely.
have you written? Um,
How many
let's go from.
songs?
Well, well, okay. How many
Oh,
songs overall? But then I know that you have some since doing your own independent thing. How many would you
yeah.
say?
You know, it's hundreds. I've got a. I was just thinking here in the studio. I have a computer that probably has 200 songs in it that I've written and started to write or haven't completed because I write them with certain artists in mind. And then you know, at some point, somebody will come along and I think back and I say, I got this perfect song for you because it may not fit me everything I write. Sometimes it'll fit another artist, and it might not. That artist may not be there right at this time, but at some point they're gonna come, and I say, I got this perfect song for you. So we just revamp and dust them off. So I just keep everything. I document. I mean, when you talk about songs that I catalog in the library in my computer, and then you talk about stuff that I've written for myself and other people, and then I talk about the 50 or 60 that's like bouncing around in my head that I haven't even put on paper yet. Uh, it's a lot of music.
Well, hey, you have a lot to say. You
Yeah.
definitely have a story, and all songs is a story. Tell me about the song Blueprint. We're gonna check that out right now.
Blueprint is simply like it says. We build houses, we build whatever it is, we build amazing structures, even down to the pyramid in Egypt. Somebody had a blueprint in the beginning. No matter how magnificent the structure is, it started on paper. Our lives are like that. if we draw it out correctly on paper and follow that blueprint, then we end up with that magnificent structure that we become. So that's really what this song is about.
It's a great song. I want you all to enjoy as I present to you Arthur Roland and Blueprint right here on the Queen Silvy Show.
Show us your blueprint now. We need your direction now. We need your blueprint. Show us your blueprint now. We need your blueprint. Show us your blueprint now. Your wheels are turning. Your wheels are turning. And your heart's pumping just free. You have a vision, but no reflection. Stand still. Stay right there. Wait on him. Follow him, and he will lead you. His direction, his matchless love, and his protection. Show us your blueprint now. We need your direction. We need your direction now. Show us your blueprint, Lord. We need your blueprint. Show us your blueprint right now. We can't do nothing without you. We need your blueprint. Show us your blueprint now. Without you showing us how to love, we can't love. Without you showing us how to live, we can't live. Need you to cover us, need you to deliver us, need you to show us how to love our enemies. Stay right there, wait on him, follow him, and he will lead you. You won't get lost with his direction, his matchless love, and his protection. Show us your blueprint now. We need your direction now. We need your blueprint. We need your blueprint. Show us your blueprint now. Blueprint right now. We need your blueprint. Show us your blueprint now. We need to hear from you. We need a word from you. A word from you. 'Cause if we don't hear from you, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Help me. We need to hear. We need to hear from you. We need a word. We need a word from you. 'Cause if we don't hear, what are we gonna do? We need to hear. We need to hear from you. We need a word. If we don't hear from you, 'cause if we don't hear, show us now. I need your direction now. We need your show me how to love. Show me how to live. Show me how to give.
I need your instructions. All right.
Need your instructions. Yeah.
Nice
Yeah.
song. Very
That was
nice.
featuring Earl White.
Earl White, a good friend of mine. A lot of people know he's from New York. He worked with a lot of groups like Silk and um, some of the more popular groups, Kelly Price and her sister Sean Ray, people
Hmm.
that he grew up in that whole New York vibe, that Teddy Riley, people that moved down to this way. So
You
yeah,
mentioned my girl, Sean Ray Price. Shout out, Sean Ray. I like Sean Ray. Sean Ray got a song that haunts me every time I get down and out. That song, No Boundaries. Oh,
yeah,
God.
I actually produced that here
I
and
love that song.
played guitar on it. Yeah, so Sean Ray is an awesome artist. Her sister Kelly is an awesome artist, but Sean
Hmm.
Ray is another level
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't know Kelly, but I know Sean Ray. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, Smooth, you had something?
Yeah, there was one other question that popped in, and it must have been something you was talking about your collaborations with artists earlier, and a viewer wanted to know how do you decide who to collaborate with?
Okay.
Well, that's a good question. I've been asked to work with a lot of artists, and I kind of try by the artists. There are some artists that are so arrogant. There's some artists that refuse to follow instructions. There's some people that you just can't work with because they don't allow themselves to be worked with. A lot of times for me, I hear great artists and nobody's ever heard them, and I say, why nobody's ever heard that artist? But as soon as I have a long conversation with them, it hits me on why. It's
Mm.
something about that person, their attitude, their personality, that's hindered them, and that's their own enemy, keeps them from being anything. So, uh, to answer the question, I decided to work with an artist uh, based on a few things. I like to feel a hunger in that artist. I like to feel an obedience in that artist to just absorb and learn and be open for instruction. But also, I look and listen for something that's unique in that artist that I don't hear in every other artist, because you hear a lot of artists that sound like everybody else that can't find their own identity.
Can't get
And
that
so when I hear,
voice.
yeah, so when I hear an artist that has that authenticity, that they have their own identity, and they sometimes they're not even sure of themselves.
Hmm.
And I say, yeah, I say what you got is different. So that's how I really decide based on a few of those things.
Yeah, and it's not easy finding your own voice. And I say that as a comedian as well. I mean, how did you find your voice? You know what I mean?
I didn't, I'm telling you, for me, when even when I got inductions into things, and I hear people reading back accolades and things I've done, it's surreal to me because some point you're so busy living and just doing the things that you just having fun doing, you don't even realize the history of things that you're doing. They say, yeah, I say, yeah, I remember doing that. That's funny. I never thought of the gravity of what it would be at this point in my life. But that's how life is. As far as my voice, I just can only be my authentic me.
But
It
don't
doesn't
it
sound
feel
like
good?
yeah, it doesn't sound like everybody else. And I listen to and the funny thing about me, I don't even like to hear my own voice back.
Come on.
Yeah, that's really weird. I don't like to see my performance or hear myself back because I'm my worst critic. And
Wow.
so
You're a perfectionist.
Even though you sound
well
like Al Green, you're still not happy.
well, I would really compare it to Air Green. Or I compare it to someone that I look up to, and I realize that I fall so short until, I started to be down on myself. But at some point I just gotta realize, and I had to start really just taking my own advice, and that is the path that was chosen for me is not gonna be like anybody else's.
Right. But
Amen.
one day I was in Kroger's. You guys got Kroger's in Atlanta?
Hmm.
Okay. One day I was in Kroger's and I'm walking out and someone said, Queen Silvy, I know you. I see. Oh, that was such a great feeling. I bet you get that all the time. Does that make you feel good to know that you've done something memorable and positive?
Sometimes, a lot of times not, because you really want to go places and be um, anonymous, because you want to sometimes just be able to let your hair down and be you. But you realize there are always going to be people watching you that know you, and
Yeah.
for whatever reason they got judged.
Yeah.
So it's fun in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways I find myself going to the grocery store in the middle of the night when I know
Right.
nobody's there.
Mm-hmm.
Because people say, "You buy your own grocery?" I go, "Yeah, I do." So it's a good feeling in the beginning because it's an affirmation that maybe you think you have arrived when you wasn't really sure when other people know you. But in a lot of ways, it can be, it can be troublesome because you realize that you can't really just be yourself everywhere you go because people are trying to judge you.
Well, you just told a secret. Now some women is gonna plan on going midnight grocery shopping.
Don't give the
Yep.
address of
Don't
where
say
you
what
shop,
store.
Roland. Just keep that undercover.
Don't say what store it is, or you gonna find out.
All kinds of women wanting to help him
Yeah, yeah. You think they giving you a coupon, but no, that's their number.
I hear you. That's
Yeah,
funny.
but no, it happens. I mean,
It does.
so okay, let's go from your experience. What would you identify as your three most successful habits?
Um, my attention to detail is foremost. Um, and I think probably the other thing is that I never feel like I have arrived. I'm always working to try to be a better version of myself. And I think that when we get complacent with where we are, we stop growing. And when we stop growing, that's the worst thing that can happen to us. So I'm always trying to be a better version of myself, number two. And number three, it's the same thing that I try to teach everybody else. You know, just be authentic.
I agree. I totally agree on that. So you feel like you're not done yet. What else? What
Oh,
else is in store for the real Arthur Roland?
I'm just beginning. There's so many things I want to do. I just started to tap into doing movie scores, and you know, um, I'd like to at some point maybe dabble into doing some movies, learning something about either on the production side or actually in front of the in front of the camera or behind the camera, whichever comes. Um, you know, I have started working on the business side as far as television network that I have and I'm a big part of. Record companies trying to empower and help other artists to to miss the struggles that I had to deal with at the beginning. So those things kind of take on a life for themselves. I have a very amount of business that I've started that are doing very well, from real estate to everything else. So uh, I've been blessed.
Amen.
Arthur, I have a quick question. You had
Yeah.
mentioned that you were thinking about dabbling into music or television scores,
hmm
possibly even commercials. You have a heck of a facility down there in Atlanta that would be a great pitch.
You talking about Tyler Studio?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Hey, you guys got
well,
something in common too.
we've had that discussion uh, in the beginning. In Tyler's early years, he did just primarily stage plays,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I was actually a pit musician at that time for
Oh,
Tyler. Uh,
okay.
Tyler. Tyler's always been one of those people that he gives people have a vision. He's one of those people that he tries to give to make their vision come true. So uh, at some point, I never even imagined that Tyler would be who he is now. But I knew by his personality and his work ethic that he would be something similar to what he is now. But at some point, I'm sure our paths will cross again, and we'll be able to align to do something great together. I,
That'd
I
be
pray
cool.
that.
That'd
That'd
be
be
cool.
cool.
Okay. So before you go, is there anything that you want to add? Because I'm going to go out with your last song. I wish I had like more music to showcase and
Throwing
more.
together.
Yeah, because you're so versatile. I mean, whatever music you put out, it's a hit to me. There's a message to the music, and some of them is so groovy. Like a couple songs is a woo woo song.
Uh-oh.
You know what I mean? Can you woo woo woo? It's one of them kind of songs, and then you got some of them songs that's amen. It's right on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Well, that's the thing about it. Uh, you can't put yourself in a box. I
yeah,
think that when you really just speak the truth of what you're feeling, and music for me, it's like my diary. Um, I always tell people, if you really want to know me and my life, you're skipping over the whole transparency, because if you listen to my music, it tells you who I am.
Right.
So I, and I have a lot of country songs that I could have sent you, or a lot of other
Well,
country music. But
this is only the beginning, right? Hopefully
yeah,
we'll have you on
but
again, because there's so much.
I say that to say this, that everything I write is not necessarily for me. Sometimes it's got to come out, and if it's somebody. But I think the biggest thing that I want to tell people is that they look for me to be an entertainer. I'm not an entertainer. I'm a guy that tells a story about something that I've lived, experienced, or seen. And after that, I sing them a song that came as a result of that. And then I tell them another story. And then I sing them another song that came as a result of that. And at the end of the night, whether it's an hour later or 2 hours later, they've had an experience into the real Arthur Roland. And I just find it very simple that people will actually pay to come and see that.
Sounds like a documentary again. So listen, tell everybody. Well, first, tell me about the song "Growing Together," because that's what we're going to.
The song is actually "Grooving Together."
Grooving Together.
Grooving Together was the song that I wrote. And I'm sure that your co-host can attest to that. When we're younger, we're macadocious and we think we got it all together. We try to be little players, we think we got it, we got it going on in
that
the
game.
Love. Particularly, and I don't know about him, but particularly as a musician, you're dancing with one girl on the floor and you're looking over your shoulder for your girlfriend to come in and maybe catch you. You're trying to be covert with what you're doing. But when you finally meet that right person, it's like a love song when the melody and the music comes together. And it's a sweet love song. That's when you're grooving together. So when you're on the floor with that real person that you really love, you don't see nobody else around you. You're not worried about another woman coming in the door. It's you and her. And that's where the song Grooving Together came from.
That's all right. You cannot even know how to dance as long as you with that right person.
Just look in their eyes. You don't even see nothing else go.
That's
what
right.
you're doing.
That's right. Before I play this song "Grooving Together" by Arthur Roland. Arthur, tell everyone how you can be followed on social media as well as contacted for many of your services.
Yeah. If you go to my website, therealarthurroland.com, of course, all my social media connections from Instagram or to Twitter to Snapchat to Tumblr to Periscope, everything is there. So I'm on all the social media sites. If you just put in Arthur Roland, it'll pull it up, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, whatever, Facebook. I try to reach out to everybody that reaches out to me, and I try to make myself accessible to most everyone. So yeah, you can reach me on all those media places. Again, www.therealarthurroland.com. And you can connect with my music, my videos, or my calendar, where I'm going to be, what I'm doing. It'll all be there. It's always pretty much updated.
Well, that's great. I appreciate you taking the time from your very busy day, because you are a very busy man doing some extraordinary things. And I thank you for taking the time being on the show today. I hope to have you on again so we can finish. I'll get the documentary out of you one way or another. Either it's by just being on the show.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. And, a lot of people have come to me about it. And I always say the same thing. When you're busy doing what you're doing, the last thing you want to do is take on something else, because I think writing books and documentaries and movies and stuff, it takes a lot of time. And I'm not good at that. I'm not an expert at that. I'll be the first to say I can't multitask. I tell people that all the time. I'm not. Women are very good at that. But whatever I'm focused on at that time, that's what I'm focused on.
Well.
And so a lot of people say, just jot down your story, or just tell me your story through a tape player, and we'll chronicle into a book. So anyone that's a writer that wants to do that, hey, I'm always interested.
Hey, when there's a will, there's a way. Trust and believe me. And really, you have something else to give, and that's that story. And I appreciate you being on the show. I look forward to having you on again as I present to you "Grooving Together" by Arthur Roland right here on the Queen Silvy Show. Thanks, Arthur.
Thank you.
a lot of places, travel all over the world, but there's nothing as precious as time with my girl. We've been through some things, some good and some bad, but there's nothing as precious than the time we had. Being together is a great thing. I wouldn't change nothing. I wouldn't change a thing. Ain't nothing like grooving. Nothing like grooving together. Ain't when we like showed up finally getting right. Oh, there's nothing like grooving together. Now it took us some time to finally get it right. But I'm here to tell you, friends, good love doesn't come overnight. But we finally found a smooth place for both of us to lay our love. And I want to thank God for shining his light down from above. And we grooving together. Oh, that feels good. Just me and my baby. We finally got a groove right again. And the show feels good, baby. Just me and my baby. But listen, I know we've been through some things. Some of them I'm so ashamed. But baby, your love always remains the same. Through thick and through the thin, you stay with me to the end. And now we got a love thing going. We're dancing in harmony. Oh, baby, without you, I know there is no me. I got your love, I got your love. And it feels so good when we're grooving together. Oh, baby, we're grooving together. Oh, baby, I like the way it come together. And how now we're been together. It's like a sweet love song with the melody just right. That's what we are, baby. Just grooving together. Just grooving together. Oh, baby, I love the way we're together. I love the melody to our love song. Just me and my baby. Girl, just look at you and me. And so many of our friends said that we'd never be. But we're grooving together now. We found our perfect melody together. And fellas, if you listen, let me ask you one question. Don't it feel good when you're grooving together? Don't it feel good? Don't it feel good? Don't it feel good when we're grooving together? Oh, baby, I love the way it feels when we're grooving together. We're dancing in harmony. Just me and my baby. Just me and my baby. Just me and my baby.
Just
Yes.
me and my baby.
Just me and my
Grooving
baby.
together.
Grooving Together by Arthur Roland. That is a hot tune, too.
Isn't that
Every
nice?
song he makes is how you need to go out and get yourself some of these grooving tunes, some good Christian music, R&B, country music. He does it all. Very versatile artist, Grammy award-winning artist. The real ArthurRoland.com is where you can find him. Also on Facebook. You can pretty much Google him. Yep, he's one of those Googleable persons.
He's Googleable.
Googleable. That's correct. I want to thank Arthur for taking the time being on the show. I thank you for tuning in as well to the Queen Silvy Show on a wonderful Wednesday. As always, we are always bringing it to you on a terrific Tuesday, but every now and then we're going to pop that Queen Silvy Show in just for you whenever we feel like
That's
it.
right.
That's
So
right.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays.
You never know, but
never
I'll
know
keep you
when we
informed
might
on that.
pop up.
Most definitely. I want you to go out and enjoy your day. But before I do, I want to give some shout outs to our friends in the United Kingdom, our friends in Finland, Spain, the Netherlands, South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa, and the Kingdom of Tonga for coming aboard, collaborating with the Queen Silvy Show, as well as spreading the word out worldwide. You spread the word out as well. We'll be back Tuesday with some phenomenal guests. I think we have live performance from Spain just for you as well. So,
Oh, that's got to be special.
yes. So
And
go on
he's a-
out.
And he started out as a busker.
That's right.
that
He
up.
come a long way doing some fantastic things. You'll find out on the flyer.
What is a
Just who
busker?
we're talking about.
Okay,
Just
we'll
who we're
find
talking
out.
about. So until then, go out and enjoy your day. This is Queen Silvy and Smooth Tim. That you can follow Queen Silvy, by the way, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Silvy Starts. But better yet, go and subscribe to our YouTube page, The Queen Silvy Show, as well as The Queen Silvy Show on Twitter.
And follow me, Tim McGiffin, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter also. So until next week, possibly later on this week, you never know.
Hey,
Same Queen time.
That's right.
Same Queen station.
I'm out of here.
Well, holla.
Aha.